Hey everybody, I've got some heartbreaking news for you today. Really sad. Stan Tweet and I have been forced to do some mercy killings on some doe fawns on our farms. These are going to be some graphic images, graphic pictures. It's heartbreaking. It's a sad day. I've had to kill 11 doe fawns that I've loved on, that I've raised, that I've nurtured, that are out of incredible stock with SS markers, HS markers, HH markers, immune to CWD. They have the resistant gene that we're breeding for. We had to kill these animals. Tim Walz, the Democrats, the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, they've all voted to pass laws against us that would lead to this day. I had to kill 11 doe fawns. Stan had to kill 26. We're going to show you these pictures. They're graphic. If you don't like them, look away now. Okay? What laws were passed against us? They passed a law, two-prong approach. Take away our income, increase our expenses. When we can't afford to put up the expenses, when they've taken our income, then they get to take our license for non-compliance. It's full court press with these groups. The first law was nobody can buy a deer in Minnesota. So my doe fawns that would have been worth about maybe $2-3 grand a piece are worth nothing. Tim Walz took that away with the stroke of his pen. Two-prong approach. Take away our income, increase our expenses, kill us off. The second thing they passed was I can't sell my farm and have a retirement sale. They took away my retirement. What's the second prong? The second prong is increase our expenses. Put up exclusionary fence from our clean, healthy animals that don't have any disease. Our animals don't have disease. It doesn't matter. They got to stick to the two-prong approach. The two-prong approach. Raise expenses, take away income. They're going to be forced to kill their animals. So when I say mercy killings, what do I really mean? For me and Stan, I've killed 11. Stan killed 26. Culling, mercy killing. Here's the pictures, here's the images. Why did we have to do this? Because we have a choice to make. The choice is, for Stan and for me, if we can't make any money at all selling breed stock, and we can't ever sell our farm, then do we let our animals get hungry? Or do we do a mercy cull, a mercy kill, and just get rid of them? What do we do? It's heartbreaking, you guys. This is a terrible, terrible decision to ever have to make. These pictures are horrific. But this is what Tim Walz wanted. This is what Bob Meyer wanted. This is what Jared at MDHA wanted. This is what Tom Peterson wanted. Tom, are you listening? I reached out to you for help many times. You're the Commissioner of Agriculture. I said I was worried about some of our farmers having so much stress they might commit suicide. I've worked in law enforcement for 30 years. Farming financial stress is huge. And when I talked to you about all this stress, and I said, can we have a meeting with Tim Walz? We got to talk. We got to do something. What happened? Tom, nothing. I said, I'm worried about suicide. And I got a suicide prevention hotline from you. Let's take a look at that text. Dylan put it up on the screen. Tom, I appreciate your support. What are we doing? So you've backed us into a corner and you've said, you guys are going to kill all your animals, so we're not going to pay you a penny. We've never had a talk, ever, about a buyout. If you don't like our industry, okay. But it's a clean, healthy, legal industry. I had an agreement with the state of Minnesota 33 years ago. Invest in this business. You can make money and pay taxes. I did that. And what happens next? They wake up one morning, they say they're going to phase us out of business. Here's a clip of the attorney on May 15th, Philip Pulitzer. He says we're phasing out the deer industry in Minnesota. Here it is.
Example of the state legislature choosing to prioritize and give a benefit to a family farm where it perhaps provides an additional tail on the phase out to recoup an investment, to transition property or land to other valuable uses.
So there you heard it. We're not diseased, you guys. They want to get rid of us just in case we get a disease. Consider your turkeys, consider your cows, consider avian bird flu. You guys are catching that. And then they get rid of the herds and flocks that are contaminated. But here, they're getting rid of us and we're not contaminated. This is insanity, okay? We got a letter from a game warden. Here it is. Look what it says. It's right along the lines with, he is more than eager, more than happy to come and help us kill off all of our animals. Look what it says. This is crazy. We can't get any help, and we're burying animals. Stan, I got a video here of you, we're going to show it right now, of you pushing dirt on top of your deer. 26 doe fawns is playing right now. Stan, the day you had to bury those deer, you've been in business for 11 or 12 years. What was going through your mind when you're pushing dirt on top of animals that are beautiful and healthy?
I'm thinking it's a very sad day. Very sad. Never in my lifetime did I dream I would be fighting my own government to be in a legal business. I started this business 12 years ago. There was none of these. All you had to do is put up your fence, and you had a license. You could do it. It was no problems. And then 5 years go by, and then all of a sudden it's year by year we're making more and more fight to try and stay in business, to the point where we've even gone down to the Capitol and testified on the order of never dreamt that we'd have to fight our own government to be in a legal business, which
Right.
is just unbelievable.
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 You had a backhoe out here the other day.
Yes.
We lost in District 8 court.
Right. Then I decided I just can't.
You can't keep feeding them
I can't feed these.
when there's no
And-
income coming in off
And
them.
on these 26 fawns that were, I will bet you 50% of them were double markered already.
For CWD
CWD's resistance.
Yep.
The other half would have been at least halfway there.
Yep. Let me show them what you got here. So here's the covered up dirt pile where he just pushed in on 26 doe fawns. He's got another trench here for does that he's going to need to cull in the near future. And another one for does that he needs to cull. And now some of you might be saying, you know what? You threw 26 fawns in a pit. Why didn't you butcher them? Well, that's a good question. A fawn in spots has about 4 to 5 pounds of meat. There's not much meat. And so to have people come over and skin and gut a fawn that you love on, and then send it out, and you get more meat off a chicken breast than you would the hindquarters of a fawn. And now people are saying, well, what about those does you're going to butcher? So if we tell people we want to sell a doe for $500, you know what we hear? Well, the license is only 30 something. Well, that doe bred in the breeder's market that Tim Walz ended was worth $5,000. She's producing 300-inch 2-year-old bucks. The market was thriving. We had 700 farms in Minnesota. Now we're down to less than 100. The assault from Tim Walz. So people are saying, well, why don't you butcher all those does and give the meat away? We could. But then we got to stand in our yard and talk to people and butcher and skin 30 deer. And what are we going to get? $50 a piece? It's easier just to shove them into a pit. This is a big deal. I got 95 does. It would take me a month to butcher them and get rid of them for $50 a piece. You guys, this assault was well thought out by the Democrats in Minnesota. I looked right down the voting aisles, you guys. It was 100% Democrats voted for it. Republicans voted to save it. In fact, I have a letter from the Republicans. 28 of them signed it. I can show you the letter. We'll put it up on the screen. Here it is. The Republicans are screaming for this insanity to stop, the assault on our industry. But it was 100% Democrats. It was the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. It was Jared. And if you guys want to know who's assaulting more agriculture, more hunting traditions, it's Bob Meyer. Bob Meyer, the Assistant Commissioner of the Minnesota DNR. He's behind this. And Tom Peterson, shame on you. You're the DNR Commissioner, and you've done nothing to help us. Not a thing. So what do Stan and I need? We need you to look at these pictures and share this video. We're heading to the U.S. Supreme Court. We're supposed to, if they take our case, we're supposed to hear back by June. Okay? It's an expensive road to the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm going to put a GoFundMe link in the comment section. Please consider donating 25 to 50 bucks. And you might say, well, I don't really care about deer farms. But do you care about America? Our forefathers fought and bled for our constitutional rights. This is a sad day. It's a dark day. But yet, I'm honored to continue this fight on. But can we afford to get to the Supreme Court? We would appreciate your donation. And there's a clip here I'm going to let you listen to. Philip Pultzer on May 15th. Philip says, the judge asked him, could the state of Minnesota ban all livestock beef production? And Philip Pultzer basically says, yes, we could, to save the environment from global warming.
That the legislature decides that to combat climate change, they're going to ban the production of all beef in Minnesota. Would that implicate the Constitution?
It would certainly be subject to rational basis review, and the question would be...
You don't think that there's a deeply rooted right to raise livestock embedded in our nation's history?
I think it would involve that Glucksberg analysis, yes. And I would turn to the Plume case, which I don't have in front of me, to push back on the suggestion that it's not, that perhaps that's just indicative. But Judge Graz, I'll take your interpretation of that.
If you guys think for 1 minute that this is just about deer farming, you're 100% wrong. This is going to, if we go to the Supreme Court and we win, it's going to have major protections for all aspects of farming from three-letter agencies in states that are crazy, like Minnesota. If we lose at the Supreme Court, this will be a weapon and a tool, this decision, that will further the destruction of agriculture. What I'm doing is I'm inviting you to come on board right now and donate a small amount and be part of the team that is trying to save agriculture. Listen to the audio clip one more time. Listen to it. Could you outlaw the beef industry in Minnesota? And Philip Pultzer dances around. He pauses. And he infers, yes, in fact, we could. We'd come back into court, and this court would have to kind of decide whether we could or not. But we certainly would try. The DNR and the Democrats would certainly try. That's what he's saying.
That the legislature decides that to combat climate change, they're going to ban the production of all beef in Minnesota. Would that implicate the Constitution?
It would certainly be subject to rational basis review, and the question would be...
You don't think that there's a deeply rooted right to raise livestock embedded in our nation's history?
I think it would involve that Glucksberg analysis, yes. And I would turn to the Plume case, which I don't have in front of me, to push back on the suggestion that it's not, that perhaps that's just indicative. But Judge Graz, I'll take your interpretation of that.
I'm asking you, share the video, help us out with the GoFundMe. And last thing I'm going to say is, Pam Bondi, Brooke Rollins, Donald Trump, Minnesota needs you. We went to your rally in St. Cloud. We heard your promises. We heard you promise that you were going to fight for us. We believe you're doing that. The world's in chaos. We know you're busy. But we just need a message back that you've heard our cries, that you've heard from us. Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Brooke Rollins, I've emailed you 15 times. It must not be getting through. We need to hear from you people. We're getting gutted in Minnesota. We need help. I told Tom Peterson, I told you this already, I think. Tom, I'm worried. I've been in law enforcement for 30 years. Our farmers are in stress. I've been to 30 suicides in my career in law enforcement. I'm worried about our farmers. What can we do? Can we meet with Tim Walz? No, Tom says. We're not having a meeting with Tim Walz. The Commissioner of Agriculture, we can't talk to the governor. We can't stop the insanity. I tell him I'm worried about suicides. Take a look at this text message. Here it is. Tom, that was kind of nice. I appreciate that. You got us a suicide prevention hotline and a psychologist to talk to. You're a swell guy. Okay? But you're not here today helping us bury our deer. Donald Trump, please, we need help today in Minnesota. We need to hear from you. Thanks.